In cooperation with the Armada Police Department, Michigan State Police, Macomb County Sheriff's Department, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, today we announce charges against James Donald Vancallis for the murder of April Dawn Millsap in the city of Armada. Specifically, Vancallis is charged with 3 counts. Count 1, first-degree premeditated murder. Count 2, felony murder. Both counts are punishable by life in prison without parole. And count 3, assault with intent to commit sexual penetration, a 10-year felony. These charges are as the result of an exhaustive investigation by Armada PD, the Sheriff's Department, the State Police, as well as the FBI. I wish to point out that during the course of this investigation, law enforcement took great care to follow every tip and every lead to its conclusion. From the outset, these agencies were committed to follow the evidence wherever it led, without focus on any specific suspect. As the investigation progressed and intensified, the evidence led in only one direction, and that's to James Vancallis. I further wish to point out that under the Constitution, Vancallis is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. However, my office intends to present physical, electronic, and eyewitness testimony and evidence placing Vancallis at the scene of the murder with the victim at the time of the murder. I'm confident that these charges will be proven beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law and bring some measure of justice to April's parents and the city of Armada. Now turn to Howard Smith, Chief of Armada PD, who has spearheaded this investigation. Chief?
Thank you.
Probably the most important thing with regards to this whole case is the working relationship that we all had within the law enforcement community. With me today is the Assistant Special Agent for the Detroit Field Office of the FBI, Ron Locke, the Senior Supervising Resident Agent of Macomb County's FBI, Shannon Smith, Captain Monica Yesh, who is the Commander of the Michigan State Police, 2nd District. We have Inspector Phil Mena, who is also from the 2nd District of the Michigan State Police. We have Detective Lieutenant Eric Old, who is right now assigned to the Michigan Violent Crimes Task Force. We have Sheriff Anthony Wickersham, and I have Detective James Sharp from the Armada Police Department. Also, we have the victim's mother, we have Jennifer Millsap, and we have David Lichtenfeld, who is April's stepfather. The amount of cooperation that we've had in this investigation is simply unbelievable. I've been in this business for 36 years. I've never seen a multi-jurisdictional task force work with the continuity that we've had with this task force. We've had over 1,000 tips. We have investigated and cleared all the tips that are not related to James Vancallis. We've had departments from Florida, from Colorado, from Port Huron to Canton, all helping us with tips. Early on in this investigation, we had multiple investigators. We had people from ATF, we had people from ICE, Immigrations, Customs Enforcement. We've had the Richmond Police Department, we've had the Romeo Police Department, we've had all sorts of people. The main figureheads in this investigation have been the FBI, the Michigan State Police, the Macomb County Sheriff's Office, and of course the Armada Police Department. But with this, we were also able to get SEMCAC, which is the Southeastern Michigan Crimes Against Children Task Force, and the Michigan Violent Crimes Task Force. The working together as one strong unit has been fantastic. The fact that the St. Clair County Sheriff's Office and the St. Clair County Prosecutor's Office was able to work with us after the first search warrant when we found the illegal grow operation made things much easier for us. We were able to work through this slowly, methodically, as I said we would do on the very first press conference. We have come to a very successful culmination on this, and this is a very pleasing day for me, one, for being able to find and successfully charge the person that committed this crime, but I am also able now to pass it off from the investigative point of view and turn it over to the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office for the prosecution portion of it. I don't know if very many of you watched the old TV show Law and Order, but the amount of input and the amount of help that we've had from the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office has been phenomenal. We trust that we're moving forward from here to a very successful prosecution. Thank you.
Let me say this. We'll take a few questions, but let me say that we're going to try this case in a court of law. We're not going to release evidence for a lot of reasons. One, we have to make sure that the defendant gets a fair trial, but also we have April's parents here with us, and I'm not going to discuss the details of this case. They're going to hear it in court like the rest of us will, and so I ask that you keep that in mind when you ask questions.
Why are you able to bring the charges now?
Well, this has been an ongoing investigation. As the chief said, we've cleared thousands of tips, and we have to get to the point of proving the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And then we believe now we have that opportunity, and with the evidence presented by all these agencies behind us, we feel confident that today and now is the time to move forward.
Do you believe that Mr. Vancallis' family was involved at all, knew anything about this? Are they being truthful and cooperative with you?
The only charges in this case, as things stand, are against James Vancallis himself.
Mr. Smith, is there a why to this? Is there a motive to this? Why did this happen?
Well, you know, it's something we tell juries all the time. We do not have to present motive to a jury, and I know it certainly makes everyone feel better. We could say this or that, but as things stand right now, we have the evidence, the physical, electronic, and eyewitness testimony to put James Vancallis at the scene of the crime with the victim at the time of the crime. As to motive, I don't want to say it's immaterial, but it's not something that we have to prove.
Eric, was there one clue that really broke this case open for you?
Let me say this about the investigators behind me. They have been doing this every day for 10 weeks. For 10 weeks, we had 4, 5, 6, 7 different jurisdictions tracking down leads, eliminating suspects, eliminating leads until the only thing that was left was James Vancallis. So to say that there was an epiphany or one moment would be a misstatement, but to say that there's an awful lot of evidence that was presented by these ladies and gentlemen behind me would be exactly what we relied on.
What can you say about the premeditation? Did he know her?
Well, once again, we're not going to get into specific aspects, but premeditation is a term that can be from seconds to minutes to hours to days. So when we present that in the courtroom, we will put that forward, but you are correct. First-degree murder provides that we must prove premeditation.
Do you know when he'll be arraigned?
Chief?
I apologize for that. Yes, he will be arraigned tomorrow morning, 42-1 District Court on 33 Mile Road in Romeo. He'll be arraigned at 9 a.m.
Mr. Smith, can you explain the third charge in this?
Well, once again, every piece of evidence that law enforcement has presented to our office has led us to the charges that we're at. We're confident that we'll be presenting evidence as to all 3 of those charges, and we're confident that we'll be able to prove each of those beyond a reasonable doubt.
Were investigative subpoenas used, and how important were they in this case?
Yeah, investigative subpoenas are certainly used. Look, the more evidence we can have and the more testimony or the more interviews we have, I think better for the case. And it just shows how thorough this investigation was. You know, we have one chance to do this and do it right. It's not about how quickly it's done, it's about how correctly it's done, and we feel very confident in the investigation that was presented to our office.
From the first day of this awful situation, there wasn't a sex element to this. What's changed?
Well, you know, it's when we go through the thousands of pages of reports that were presented to our office, these three charges are the ones that stood out to us. And the evidence and investigation that was presented to us led us to these charges.
So you can't expand at this point?
Well, let me say once again that we're not going to try to defend it here in the press, and I appreciate everyone wanting to know this stuff, but more importantly than that is, you know, when we sat down with April's mom and stepdad this morning and went through all this stuff, you know, I'm not going to get into the elements of the crime or the facts or evidence of the crime. It's going to be presented in the courtroom, and I'm certainly not going to do that while April's mom is standing next to me.
Have you interviewed Mr. Vancallis? Is he being cooperative?
There's been an awful lot of interviews all the way around. So cooperation is a term of art. We have spoken to him at various times. We've spoken to his family. We've spoken to, guys, how many witnesses or how many people have you interviewed, Chief?
Hundreds. We did give Mr. Vancallis an opportunity yesterday, as a matter of fact, to speak.
Say that in the front of the microphone.
We did give Mr. Vancallis an opportunity to speak with us yesterday. Under advice of counsel, he declined.
Well, thank you all so much for coming down, unless there's any further questions. And we will, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock at 4202 District Court in Romeo.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you so much.
Happy to come. Good luck. Anything you need to call.
You know,